camouflaged locomotive, and a whole bunch of armored vehicles. Some might call this the real Trump train, but I want to tell you about where it's going and how railroads make moves like this all the time. We'll talk about it all next. It's late in the afternoon on June 5th, 2025, and it certainly looks like a normal day in Fairburn, Georgia. Down the tracks, a CSX local is busy switching cars. But the cargo that's about to blow through here is anything but normal. This train is led by a partially camouflaged locomotive numbered 1776. The engine is nicknamed the Spirit of our Armed Forces. Behind that, a blue locomotive celebrating CSX's company culture. But what'll really catch your eye is all the military vehicles this train is pulling. I'm talking about Abrams tanks, Paladin howitzers, Bradley fighting vehicles, Strykers, and more. So where's all this firepower going? Well, it'll eventually be unloaded outside Washington D.C. and Jessup, Maryland, in preparation for a massive parade that celebrates the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army. That branch of the U.S. military was established by the Second Continental Congress on June 14, 1775. It was known then as the Continental Army. Now, June 14, 2025 will see troops, vehicles, and aircraft on display in Washington. But this huge showing of firepower has sparked some controversy. Oh, and that day is also President Donald Trump's 79th birthday. But before we dive into all that, let's see where this train began its journey. This video is courtesy of the U.S. Army. It shows loading operations happening at Fort Cavazos in Texas on May 20th, 2025. Some military posts actually have railheads that allow troops to load their vehicles onto trains for shipment around the country. Flat cars with Department of Defense markings allow tracked vehicles to roll from car to car. Then soldiers chain everything down. Now, you may think this is unusual for troops to be loading all their equipment onto a train, but it's really not.
Railroad operations, it is a constant in the United States Army. So what you're seeing behind us, the taking the tanks, the Bradleys, Strykers onto rail cars, tying them down, we do it every time we go to the National Training Center in Fort Irwin, California. Or if units are going to the Joint Readiness Training Center in Fort Polk, Louisiana, or if they're going on a rotation or deployment, this is nothing new. So if anything, this is another opportunity for soldiers to train, to be ready, and it increases their proficiency in conducting this type of operation.
And if you were wondering, in some places, the U.S. Army does have its own locomotives. Operations like this don't just happen stateside. Members of the U.S. Armed Forces also move their vehicles and supplies by rail in other countries. This video shows soldiers unloading empty rocket pods in Poland. And this footage was shot at U.S. Army Garrison Humphreys in South Korea. Notice how, even though the rail cars are being used overseas, they still have U.S. markings. Back in Texas, this train has 28 M1126 Strykers, 28 M2A3 Bradley fighting vehicles, 28 Abrams M1A2 main battle tanks, 7 M109A7 Paladins, and other military vehicles. But the upcoming parade will show off even more than what you see here.
This is about 50% of the approximately 150 vehicles that are going to be in the Army Birthday Parade on 14 June. So overall, there are going to be 6,600 soldiers marching in the parade.
And here's the assembled train, led by a BNSF 25th anniversary locomotive, leaving Fort Cavazos on June 2nd, 2025. Now, by the time I saw this thing on June 5th, the BNSF motors were taken off and CSX Power was in the lead. I was able to catch this train a second time not too far from downtown Atlanta. Of course, moving all this equipment on the rails is one thing, but rolling it down the streets of D.C. has raised some concerns. Some worry about these machines tearing up the road. This could happen when a tracked vehicle makes a sharp turn. However, the Army Corps of Engineers plans to install steel plates at turning locations. And check this out. Railroad spikes are being used to help anchor them. Rubber track pads have also been installed on the vehicles. Of course, parades are nothing new in Washington, D.C., but this one will be big and costly. The Associated Press reports that this celebration will cost an estimated $25 to $45 million. President Trump actually tried to make a parade like this happen during his first term. He apparently was inspired by Bastille Day celebrations that he watched in France. Now, we don't talk politics on this channel. You can decide on your own whether or not you agree with how all this is being done. But no matter what you think about this grand celebration, it'll definitely be a spectacle, just like this train. And hey, 250 years and the Army is still rolling along.